So glad you joined us here for a full review of the Cadillac Escalade. Here on Autogefühl today with Thomas, going to take a detailed tour on the exterior, the interior and the driving experience with this V8 engine. Join us in Full HD, full screen and full length. Let's go! The Cadillac Escalade, built in Arlington, Texas, has such a strong design in the front, typical Cadillac front grille. But here, of course, I even look small next to this very vehicle. The headlamps come standard with LED and they use this vertical shape, whereas more and more other manufacturers rather use horizontal shapes. So they're really distinct in the design. It's also, I think, one of the #1 reasons to buy this vehicle, because you look at it from front and it means say like, wow, this is king of the road or something. So this is, I think, their #1 selling point, definitely. But do you like it? Please tell me in the comments. 5'17", 204 inches or 17 foot is the length here of the Escalade in the short wheelbase version. There's also a long wheelbase version called ESV. Soon tell you a little bit more about that. Let's focus on the short wheelbase version for today. And we can see here, this one is a crystal white color. By the way, especially in Europe, not many colors available. It's just like white, black and gray, I think, or something. So they really limit the choices. 20-inch wheels would be standard in the US. In Europe, we always get the 22-inch wheels, so the biggest one that are available. You might want to save the money and stay with the smaller wheels to keep it a little bit more comfortable. Then this very angular design here also in this side profile, darkened rear windows, very impressive also. And then those bright contrasts right here. And look how high this line of the car is. And one very cool feature is definitely that this side step here, it automatically flips out when you open the door. Then you can easier access the interior and then it goes back in again. That's pretty spectacular, isn't it? So, and towards the rear, we have a very, very big C-pillar. This will be the area where the ESV will also be longer to have more legroom in the third seating row especially, and also almost double the size of the trunk. So this is a question for Europe. It's really too long, the long wheelbase version. This one here is for European taste, already quite big. How will it perform on the driving part here on the European roads? That will be very interesting. So, and that's the side profile for you here. One of the very rare vehicles where I can just easily stand next to the vehicle in the rear perspective, don't have to go down to get a nice shot. Very distinct tail lamps right there in a vertical way, that's very beautiful done. And then this 90-degree contrast with the horizontal stress right there, and again this Cadillac symmetry. The rear hatch opens right there, you have to press and then really press this side, so that's pretty unusual, but you easily get used to it. Also this area is so large already on the outside that you can here stand from it right there. Towing capacity, by the way, is pretty impressive, especially in the US, about 8,300 pounds maximum. In Europe it's a little bit limited to 2.5 tons. It always depends on the version you pick also. Oh, and by the way, the replacement tire is underneath the vehicle. Next to the exhaust, that's where this V8 leaves the vehicle. And about the ESV. So while the normal short wheelbase Escalade is on the same platform as the Chevrolet Tahoe and the GMC Yukon, the long wheelbase ESV is on the platform of the Chevrolet Suburban and the GMC Yukon XL. And the difference is actually, so while this one here is 5'17" or 204 inches, the ESV is 5'69" or 224 inches. That's a massive difference. Under the hood we have a 6.2 liter V8 with 420 horsepower. 6.7 seconds is the acceleration figure to 100 kilometers or 62 miles an hour. And very interesting is how this hood is being kept open. There are no hydraulic struts, but here this is somewhat like, how can we call it? Like a rolled spring or something. So you can see here it bends a little bit and goes back again. Very interesting, isn't it? I have never seen it with any vehicle, but well, it does the job. Now the interior, some nice Alcantara use at the inside of the doors. Then it's somewhat split in where you can put things at the inside of the doors. Bose sound system, 16 speakers. Then right here, classic Cadillac steering wheel. A lot of shiny black surfaces are being used, and here classic dark shiny wood as well. The top part of the dashboard is also soft touch. What is especially nice, also one of my favorite features here, is that the lower part of the steering wheel is also covered with microfiber. A lot of manufacturers forget that. The pedals here, by the way, they can be adjusted. That's also pretty rare. What is quite strange here is with the seat, when you touch it, well, let's do like a rolling here. Do you hear that? It's like, you know, do you know those, those plastic foils with the air chambers in, where some people like to like plop, 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 and like to enjoy that? It sounds like something like that would be underneath the seats. Very strange. No idea what that is. Probably because they also have some air chambers here. I don't know. Here, you can also activate the seat massage next to the electric seat. And indeed, you can also control the seat bolsters and so on. So a lot of adjustments. Seats in black, beige or grey available as for the color, but only in animal skin. But you can see here it already looks a little bit like Granny's sofa, those seats, although this is a brand new car. Also here, you know, look at that. Well, then a huge middle console, you can already see it from here. The top part here is the inductive charging pad. However, if you put the console up, the smartphone falls down, and of course it can also slide to the front when you brake. So getting inside, you can use this side step here. That's really funny and definitely one of the most spectacular things with this vehicle, because it gives you different experience already when getting in the vehicle. The seats are very, very soft. Indeed, it feels like, you know, like an old sofa. You can get more support when you put those bolsters, you know, a little bit tighter, but then again they lose also comfort, those seats. But they just feel old, you know, they feel old although it's a new vehicle. The steering wheel can be adjusted in height and reach. Here you can also put it in. It's always, you know, it's a funny angle how that goes like this. But overall good function. And I'm on with 86 or 6.1. Of course, I have plenty of headroom left, although this is also equipped with a glass roof, but that's really cool. Also, very nice microfiber covering underneath the ceiling. So, and there's a very high front hood, so it really feels a little bit truck-alike. Although the middle console goes all around you, that again cages you in somewhat. So it's not a super open feeling, it's more a little bit closed off. One of my favorite features is that you can control the height of the head-up display here quite easily with the button right there. And also the info you can see in the head-up display. I'll soon also show you something of the head-up display. Although the buttons here, they have a nice clicking sound, but then again are somewhat questionable how they are attached. And now enjoy this interior overview with me, where we have a 12.3-inch digital virtual cockpit on the left, digital instruments, and 8-inch touchscreen on the right. You see this Cadillac symmetry here again. They try to eliminate real buttons and to make everything like a seamless layout. But the thing is, you know, when controlling it, I'm not sure if it's the best solution then, because you, for example, for temperature, you press here plus and minus, you have somewhat a haptical feedback. And what you can also do is scroll here, you know, like on this silver element, then that is also possible, you know. So two ways to control it. You can either press or then slide it like this. So both is actually possible. Here in the lower area, you could actually put it. Who put in an Autobild DVD here? Surely not Autogefühl. So, and then here, oh, great song, man. You see here Apple CarPlay or Android Auto connection, that is available. Other than that, then this is the main menu right there. Here we can also access the GPS right there. We can pinch and zoom here too. The responsiveness is a little bit lacking behind, and you can see how flat this is all integrated, for example. So I'm not exactly sure. I have to reach over quite a lot, and then it's also hard to see it in sunlight. So the positioning of this whole system is questionable. Glove box, by the way, you open right there with this button. Some assistance system controls here also, where the driver can also hardly reach it. On the left side then, this would be, I can turn on the engine, I can show you even more. For example, also here, I could put in the gears. That's pretty much old school. And we also have the rear view camera with a very bad resolution overall. And those are here the buttons. When you push them down right there, both pedals come down, and here both pedals come up. So that might be useful for different driver heights. So you can also see now in the direct sunlight how easily this surface here, those black shiny surfaces, collect the dust, and you have to clean them all over the place. Here, by the way, is for seat cooling, and also for here seat heating and seat cooling in the lower area. Turn on the car right again. Here, there we go. This is now for the seat cooling, and that would be the heating, and this is just heating for the upper part. So, and yeah, that's the cooling again. And here again for the climate unit, colder or warmer like this. Here it does not work with this sliding function like with the volume. And with those digital instruments, you can actually change what you want to see on the left side, what you want to see in the central display, and also what you want to see on the very right side. So pretty flexible and also well to read. And always nice to have a head-up display here with the allowed speed and the current speed always in your line of sight. The sunroof cover is just manual, by the way, like this. Why not? And in this upper console here, that's very interesting. You can control how far the rear hatch should open, maximum just the three quarters. If you have like a lower basement garage or something, if that's enough for that. And here is also where you can then either slide or just tilt open it totally here with a sunroof to leave all the air in. In the lower area here, you slide this one open, and then you have two USB supplies, putting your smartphone here. And you can also activate the cooling for the cup holders right there. This one will be cooled then, so pretty nicely done. Oh, this is also a little bit wobbly here. See, like this lateral movement. Then again, here you can put your smartphone, but again, you should not open it then. And then there's a huge box right here, very wide. Then this also has a cooling symbol, because this one here will also be cooled. And you can put a lot of stuff in there. So that's pretty nice to be flexible, to put a lot of cool drinks in that or whatever else. And two more USB supplies we got there too. And another great detail is that you have this microfiber cover even on the passenger side in the front. In the lower area, also the glove box is covered, where most of the other vehicles have just a plastic cover. Oh, and very nice sound. The surround is really cool, surround sound from the 16 speaker system. It can be a little bit bass heavy, so you would need to level the bass or maybe put it a little bit less. I got the settings actually right now like this, and this sounds pretty amazing now. The rear door from the inside almost looks the same as the front door, also microfiber insert. Then you also have own cup holders right there, the little bigger inside door pocket. Got some headphones here with inside this nice cover, also with microfiber here at the back side of the seat. You can also get a rear seat infotainment system, but I think nowadays most people would rather use their iPads or their smartphones, wouldn't they? What's your take on that? Let's see, you can change the angle here a little bit, depending on how you want to see it better. Then those seats here, that's the captain's seat setup. With this middle ton, you can go through. That's somewhat handy to go through the third seating row then, and of course to have some more space while driving. And I really like how easy you can flip the seats. If you just do it like this, and that's basically it, and then the seat is being flipped. That's it, and then you can use this latch right there to pull it all the way up, like this. And then you can also get through here, and then to the third seating row. And you can also do it from a trunk. Very interesting, I'll soon show you that. But let me first take a seat right here in the rear, and I have the seat as I would be driving, and it still does fit somehow, but the length that is still available here for the rear seat, I mean, it's a very long vehicle in comparison to others. And so, although there's no problem with tall adult in here, there's still a bad package. You should have more legroom considering the length of the vehicle. Headroom? It's totally fine, also no problem for taller people, again 1m86 or 6'1", my height. And well, to have this captain seat set up, that's actually quite fancy. This rear head restraint, or the front head restraint, how it has an effect for the rear, that's what I meant. You cannot see anything to the front. So this is thought, of course, to house the rear seat infotainment system. But if you then see, like, your view here to the front is totally blocked. So as a rear passenger, it would be a little bit better if you would have a little bit smaller head restraint. But again, the seating comfort here is actually quite cool because you also sit pretty much upright here in the rear. So good travel position, and then you also have this room here in the captain's chair set up to the middle part. That's, show you a lot of fun on a journey. And with this latch here, you can also put the seat here, this back part, a little bit either upright like this or a little bit more backward if you rather prefer the somewhat sleeping position for that. So, short break in this review, maybe for me to relax it a little bit, but for you, let's continue. Oh, and if you have a movie on a USB stick, you can also fold down this third monitor for the rear seats, so that would be like this. Probably that those third seating row passengers can also see a little bit more. So there's a climate unit, then you have some USB supplies and also some power sockets in the lower area. So again, I could now access the rear seating row, the third seating row. I flipped up. We have the middle part here, that would be one possibility, fun for kids. Or there's also an easier way. I don't have to use this lever first and then the other one. I can also directly access this strap right there and then pull it twice, and here it is. Well, I want to try both ways. First of all, here through the middle. Well, for kids it's surely more fun to do it like this. So, very interesting, by the way, the floor here easily, it's easily put up. Okay, about that. And then, well, how can I fit in here? Need to push up those head restraints first. Whoa, that takes a lot of effort. Whoa, that really takes a lot of effort. And then, yeah, I can squeeze myself in here. Headroom is actually not a problem. This is, there's plenty of headroom here in the rear. But of course, this third thing was so low. See how my knees are being bent, so I can sit here for a short trip. That would be possible. Actually, it's not even for 2, but for 3 people here in the rear. See here, the third seat belt is right here in the ceiling. You can pull it down, but that's not that realistic actually. So yeah, for short trips that might be an emergency seat, but that would then be again a reason to go for the ESV, the long wheelbase version, to have more room here for the third seating row. But then again, you have a bigger vehicle again. So, and now there's a practical button. There you can even release it right here. The second one, that's of course handy, because when you're sitting here, that might be a good solution. And then, well, you have to think about the front seat. Needs to be pushed in the front, that you then can get out here. So that doesn't help you that much in this situation then. So the better than to access this third seating row like this. Well, yeah, I think that's somewhat easier than climbing through the middle part. Oh, and by the way, putting up the third head restraint is easier when you push it from the rear here, or maybe just use two hands, like one from here and one from there, but still it's, you know, pretty strongly attached. And now the trunk area here, when everything is flipped up, 35 centimeters in length. You can only put cabin trolleys upright in here then when the third seating row is up. But at least that's still a possibility. Some more space underneath. And then on the right side here you can flip everything electrically. That's nice and also very easy to do. And the length that is left here then is 1 meters and 15. But overall, very well usable trunk. And extraordinary thing is, now the width of the car plays a big role. This is 120 in meters here. Usually, you know, a normal trunk width for most passenger vehicles is 1 meters. So here 20 centimeters more. And last but not least, you can also flip those seats. So the second seating row right there. And you have very well usable trunk area, and this one here is in the length of 2 meters. Here we go. Energy supply for the heated rear screen, and you can call it nitpicking, yes, but in a 100 grand car I don't want to see that. Do you? And the same also counts for this very cheap rubberish closing button for the tailgate. I mean, again, totally okay for a 40 grand car, not for 100. And what about the child safety test here when we close the gate? Yeah, that's still quite okay, so no one should be squished right here. Welcome to Thomas's driving lounge with the Cadillac Escalade. This will be very exciting today. It's the first time I've been driving in the Escalade now. And wow, you're so far away. Like, you're so far away. Just because the car is so wide. So pretty unusual, especially here for our European roads. Well, that's also very interesting. How will it perform here, this true American vehicle on the European roads? Very interesting. We're getting a small first Autobahn piece. Soon I'll also experience probably a thing you can never do in the US. How will it perform at high speeds? So we'll soon check that one out. Of course, it's not built for that. But there's also this V8 under the hood, which has a lot of performance. So we'll see how that one plays out. This one is here also now a typical situation where we have this construction site on the motorway, and that feels, you know, kind of narrow. So actually I would not be allowed to go on the left lane of this construction site. So maximum width, including the mirrors, of 2.1 meters. That does not fit for the Cadillac Escalade, so I need to stay on the right side as the trucks are obliged to. Very interesting. So the first cruising, well, I'd say normal cruising speed would be 100 kilometers an hour. That's 62 miles an hour. And I can also set the cruise control. Do it here on the left side of the steering wheel. I have everything in control on the head-up display. That's very well to read. And it's also very well to control. And so noise insulation here at 100 kilometers an hour or 62 miles an hour is quite good, and it feels somewhat relaxed. The suspension is on the one hand very soft, so the car is shaking up, so to say, but at the same time when you have some potholes in the road it gets very rough. So yes, very soft, but not forgiving. And that's of course not that good. So not here, for example here when you are in the corner and then you're going over some bumps or so, the car gets very nervous. So it's really not a good job they've done there with the suspension. It gives you rather an insecure feeling. Let's do a lane change. Maybe you've all seen on the camera how the car is shaking up then. And I really love driving with soft air suspensions that give you this carpet feeling, you know. But then again, the modern air suspensions, for example, they also still give you some feedback and don't give you an insecure feeling, but that's the case here. And as soon, you know, when it road is all flat, it's totally fine. But as soon as the road is a little bit rougher, it really gets also rough here in that vehicle, and you don't feel that that should be the case. Adaptive cruise control is built in here, so I'm not doing anything with the throttle at the moment. Speed is being reduced. That works quite well. There's also the blind spot monitor, very well to see. You can see very well in general through those side mirrors, that's good. But again, the blind spot monitor really helps you to have even more control, even more safety, because the overall visibility in this vehicle is also somewhat limited. Yes, those windows are upright, but there's a very small back mirror, and to those sides there's a very big seat pillar where you cannot see so much. So it's really helpful to have those blind spot monitors. And in this high trim, which is only sold in Europe, it's also already included. A lot of things are included here indeed, but then again, for the price you pay, I think you can also expect that. So, and now we're getting to a spot where we can really hammer it as well. Let's see, we're going from 90 to whatever. So that was 170 kilometers. Just need to slow down here for safety reasons. And whoa, noise insulation wise, it's not too bad. Of course, this is like a driving cupboard, so, or like a driving box or a driving wall. And so there is some significant wind noises now coming, especially here from those front areas. But still, it's not too loud. So, I'm quite positive about that. But then again, here this, the suspension doesn't give you a good connection to the road, so you don't feel that secure when driving faster. And also the steering wheel, look at that here. It's very wobbly, so it doesn't give you any direct feedback. You don't know what's happening, basically. It's easy to steer into control, so when you're parking in and out, for example, it helps you because you don't need so much power. But if you want somewhat, get a feeling for the vehicle, that's not what you get from this steering feedback. So it's rather an artificial steering. What I really like here, appreciate while driving, is that the top part of the windscreen has this transition to blue, and therefore I don't really need to turn down the beautiful microfiber covered sun visor right there. So usually I just leave it like this, and this protects me also against the sun. That's then also well done. Now you can relax again. This is also the strength of this vehicle. You have this upright seating position, big SUV feeling, king of the road. Then you just set the cruise control, and everything else is again relaxed and fine, and that's it. And that really helps for the long motorway rides, especially in the US. And that's also, what it's somewhat built for. So while you're having this cruise control set, and maybe, want to turn on some music here with the CarPlay, but you can see here, I don't have short arms at all. But it really takes me all the way from my arm here to reach it through the screen here. And it rather seems to me, who is the screen designed for? Surely not for the driver. Maybe for the co-driver rather, because, it's like very flat. You cannot see that well. It's like watching TV from a 45-degree angle or something. Or have you ever had to take a seat in a cinema, like in the very front, but then at the outside seat or something? That's somewhat the feeling you get here. So I'm not sure about this design of the middle console. Also, when I want to reach driving mode, actually, I never sit far away from the steering wheel, because I know that from driving instructions and so on. Most people sit too far away from the steering wheel that they cannot really, move with their arms, don't have so much strength. And of course, you have to be somewhat close to the front of the vehicle, not too close, of course, to be able to hammer the brakes all the way. So you need to be in a position that when you hammer the brake all the way, your leg is not entirely stretched, but still, has some leaning angle still. Oh, what do we have here? C63. C-Class convertible. Tasty. I would pick it in matte grey Magna though, right? That looks a little bit more, spectacular than the metallic one, but very beautiful car. Very, very, very nice. So, but back to this car here. The other thing was, when now, I can't move any closer here. I'm really already close, but here also like to change the driving modes, like here over the gear shifting lever next to the steering wheel with the driving modes. I'm not sure about that. So also a bad positioning of this. Then when you want to change the temperature, it looks quite fancy, this console here without the knobs and so on, but also controlling the temperature while driving. Not sure if that's the most convenient way to do it right here. So I think they have not really thought about how to control things while driving this vehicle. Of course, you should try to keep controlling something while driving to a minimum, but everyone does control something when driving, and so I think that should be optimized. So we can also test out the sport mode, for example. The differences I felt between those modes are not too big, I think, but we see how it plays out now also from the acceleration. That will be very interesting. To put in the gear, by the way, it's this very old school lever here. This would be the park mode. This is reverse. This is neutral. This is D, and this is L. Like for the low. When you want to keep it in one gear, and for example, drive down a hill or something. And on the left side, you can pick between just the rear-wheel drive mode and that wasn't a warning inside the seat, by the way. Maybe you heard that vibration from the autonomous emergency brake, which is well done, standard equipment. And here on the left side, you can also put it to the all-wheel drive mode. In the US, you can get either rear-wheel drive Escalades or all-wheel drive. In Europe, it's always all-wheel drive. And then you can also go to this, fixed all-wheel drive mode. But here in the auto mode, the vehicle also decides for itself. But you can also just drive it in the rear drive mode when you're just using it on the road. That's usually recommended for cars where you can change that. Just also to keep the friction low and so on. So we go through those tunnels once more and then have another acceleration. And well, here in the sport mode, what does it change? Let's go back to the normal tour mode. Try to feel the suspension, what it does. Then go back to the sport mode. Yeah, it stiffens the suspension indeed a little bit. So I feel even more vibrations in the steering wheel. Very interesting. And let's see how that, so far, RPM-wise, not so much has changed when I go through the modes. Sometimes with those driving modes, the RPMs change immediately. About 1,000. Going sports mode, yeah, it goes, let's see. There we are. Well, it doesn't change too much. But now I can accelerate again. Let's see how that one plays out. Oh, and this is, by the way, a very rare occasion here. There's a Chevrolet next to us. Also very rarely seen in Germany. Oh wow, the head-up display says the allowed speed here is 255 because it obviously does not know what is like designed for unlimited speed. It just said it's 255 kilometers. Nice, right? So, let's accelerate it out again. Check if we're in sport mode. Yes, we are. See how's the difference there. That was 115 kilometers. And now let's go to the all-wheel drive mode. See how that one plays out as a difference from the same speed. You've maybe seen it on camera. The car, is so heavy and then there's so much power. It's really lifting the front when accelerating. Very interesting. Now from 90 again, it goes a little bit downhill, but now with all-wheel drive. that's 150 again. Interesting. Have you seen that? I mean, yes, it was a little bit downhill, but still, I felt that the front was not lifting that much and that the acceleration was less powerful in the all-wheel drive mode. Very interesting. So now we're getting to the right side again, and here, that's also what I meant. So not such a good contact to the road, and it's shaking up and then moving sideways. So especially when driving a little bit higher speeds, you do not feel that you would be so much in control of that vehicle. You feel its weight and you feel that it's really large. And you know, with some of the other modern SUVs, thinking about the competitors, they rather feel smaller because they are so well to drive. So I can just stress it again, I'm not a personal brand fan of German cars. So just, you know, when someone says, oh, he just says negative things about this vehicle because it's American. Totally a fan of the US, love the country, try to be there as often as possible. It's just when I rate this very vehicle, it really stands out from the competition, but in a negative way. So every single detail they have done here is worse than with the competitors in driving. And it's not an opinion, it's just, you know, all the facts you can put together and all the experience I have with vehicles, it's just very, very clear to me. And again, I really like the styling and so on, have nothing against the brand itself. And I really was, hoping more. I was always, came to US and saw when I was being shuttled in the Cadillac Escalade, oh wow, that's so cool and so on. But then I was also like, the first feeling I got was like, what is this suspension? It's like so rough, and that's such an expensive vehicle. And then I thought maybe it was just a bad road here and there. Therefore, I really wanted to test it also here on my standard roads I always drive in Germany. And this is probably the worst suspension I've ever experienced in such an expensive vehicle. I mean, if you're a Cadillac Escalade owner, I'm really, really sorry about that. It's it's no insult to you or something, and you shouldn't be any less happy with your car. But if you look at at the testing at the factual side, probably when you go for your next car, you should probably look around in this segment, because just from driving this very vehicle, if I close my eyes and if I would not know which brand I'm driving, how much money would I give for this car with a driving feeling of this kind? Maybe half of the price it is actually. Maybe. Rather even less. And I think that's the big problem of this vehicle. It wouldn't be all that bad, how I just told you, if the price would be somewhat okay. But the price is super high, and is, especially in Europe, as high as with competitors. Yes, probably in the US you'll pay way less money, than for Mercedes GLE, Mercedes GLS, BMW X5, X7 and so on. But still, the Cadillacs will never be cheap for anyone, and I think they should definitely deliver more for the money. So, and that's another green light, because the last remark I want to say is that about the average consumption, you can somewhat calculate with some 13 liters or 100 kilometers, and that's about 18 mpg US, 21, 22 mpg UK. I mean, it's a 6.2 liter V8. Shouldn't expect too much from it, although it has this cylinder on demand function, COD, and we see it right here at the moment. I am just rolling, then it says V4. So it's in those 4-cylinder mode now. They do that to save some fuel. It just runs on 4 cylinders. As soon as I accelerate it out a little bit more, then it's a V8. And well, there's a first generation Cayenne next to us, and that's funny from your camera perspective right there. You cannot even see the Cayenne, because this car is even is actually so high. Even the Cayenne looks small next to it. That's really funny, I think that's also something good for our conclusion for the driving part here. Of course, it's somewhat still fun, because this still conveys this this big American dream style feeling, and you can get along on European roads as long as you never try to find any parking spot, but just keep driving. Yeah. But this, this very high upright seating position, being king of the road, that's probably the thing you might want to go for this vehicle. But everything else, I'm really sad to hear it myself. Everything else really speaks against it. And now to our conclusion for today with the Cadillac Escalade. From the exterior, such a stance on the road always says like, wow, here I am, this is king of the road. That's what the exterior says. And it's definitely different than the ones from the competitors, which set also a little bit more on round design. This one here is still very angular. It's also, I think, #1 selling point. The interior, well, we've seen a lot better there. Here they do not offer any alternatives to animal skin. The interior build quality is also just somewhat okay. There are a lot of parts where you say, why did they do this and that and this and that way? Also, how you use the whole car is not really very intuitive. So especially interior wise, there's a lot to do. Also, the overall package is not really good. Considering you have such a long car, you don't have so much space on the interior. Yeah, I think they still have to work on that. And driving wise, this is actually the real disappointment of today. I can just repeat it. I'm not an advocate for German cars or something. If someone says, you live in Germany, that's why you rate German cars better than American one. Totally not interested where a car is being built. I just can say that this very car was not good in the driving part. Everything we've tested, from steering, especially suspension, the automatic gearbox, rolling comfort, how the car behaves, how it is in the corners, it's just worse than with any other competitor I've driven in this very segment. And I think the biggest problem is really the price, or the relation from price to the driving performance. I cannot understand how they, at this time here, testing it in year 2019, sell this car for at least 100 grand, and then it delivers in this kind of way. I cannot understand that. So I'm really sorry if you own this vehicle and feel somewhat offended by what I'm saying, but I can just say, here in Autogefühl, we always give you the truth. We give you our experience and also what we've experienced with other competitors. So I think you just deserve to know that, how we felt about this very vehicle, because I think it really becomes clear that design-wise it has a very, very strong point. Yeah, not such a sound as this motorcycle. Design-wise, definitely a very strong stance. But other than that, I don't see anything other, that really speaks for this car. What's your take on the Cadillac Escalade? Thank you so much for tuning in to Autogefühl, and see you next time.